I'm going to welcome everybody, but remember, first I have to read this. You have to sit through this public notice here from the governor. Just bear with me as I read it. Governor Pritzker signed a new gubernatorial disaster proclamation extending the statewide declaration through January 9th. Oh, well, this is the 13th. Oh, well, 2022. With the signing of this disaster proclamation, public meetings can continue to be held remotely per the requirements listed below. All meetings with customers should be done on a remote platform if at all possible. For public meetings that have already been noticed, we will need to renotice in order to provide the updated information. Number one, standard 48-hour notice except for an emergency meeting to all members of the public body posted at the meeting location on the public body's website and provided to any news media that has requested notice. Two, during the meeting, participating members must be verified and must be able to hear one another as well as hear all discussion and testimony. Three, during open meetings, members of the public who are present at the meeting, location of the public body must be able to hear all that's a little repetitive, just discussion, testimony, and votes of the members of the body. Four, if attendance at the regular meeting location is not feasible due to the disaster, alternative arrangements must be made and notice of the meeting must include the arrangements that will provide live public access to hear all the parts of the open meeting, phone number or Zoom, link to Zoom, Teams, GoToMeeting, etc. Five, at least one member of the public body, the chief legal counsel or the chief administrative officer must be physically present at the meeting location unless it is not feasible due to the disaster. Other member of the public body may attend in person or remotely. Six, all votes must be made by roll call, identifying each member and recording their vote on each issue. Seven, standard minutes of all meetings must be kept, approved, and made available for public review as usual. And eight, a verbatim audio or video recording of all meetings must be made and available to the public for review. These meetings are public records and must be maintained per the Open Meetings Act. And then basically we have the public notice that the meeting will be held tonight at 5:30 via Zoom with Christina's RSVP information, and notice that the video after the meeting, a video recording will be posted on the City of Peoria YouTube channel at youtube.com/user/City of Peoria TV. Anyone who wants to comment can send their comments to Christina. And I've been informed from her that we have no public comments tonight. The agenda, minutes, and a video podcast of the meeting will be available online at peoriagov.org/citycouncil/meetings. Okay, so I'm going to welcome you all. And first I'll take the roll. Andre Allen. I think I saw Andre in the house.
Present.
Thank you. Demario Boone.
Present.
Shalandra Birch.
Shalandra's here.
Terry Burnside has an excused absence. Kevin Evans. Don't see him. Allison Galvin.
Present.
Thank you. Nikolai Greaves. Chanel Hargrave Murray. Lorraine King. Lee Lang.
Present.
Thank you. Tyson Parks III has an excused absence. Catherine Shidley.
Present.
Alex Sierra. Karen Wilson. I see
I'm here.
Karen. Thank you. Janice and Chief Echeverria.
I'm here.
Okay, thank you all. I think we have a quorum to begin. I'd like to, I see some press here, WMBD, and I see WCBU. So thank you to the press for coming. Did you all have a chance to read, review the minutes from the last meeting that Christina sent out? Let's go ahead and take a vote on those. Yes.
Janet, I would like to see one correction made.
Okay.
Under new business, it says that the review of Rockford Citizens Oversight Committee, it after it, it has recently passed. For accuracy, I would like to see a date put in there, and that was January 10th, 2022.
I think, is that on our agenda for tonight, Lee, or is that on the minutes from last time?
It's under new business for tonight.
Okay, so we'll correct that for new business, but right now, so thank you for that. Yeah, we'll get to that when that agenda item comes up. But right now, what we want to talk about is passing approval of the minutes for the last meeting from December. Can we have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
I move we approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Okay, Karen, thank you. Do we have a second?
A second.
Thank you, Chief Boone. And then we're going to vote. So let's see, Andre. Sorry, I'm squinting here because I can barely read these little letters.
I'll be abstaining. I wasn't at December's meeting.
I think I was told you're allowed to vote anyway, but that's up to you if you want to abstain. DeMario,
Yes.
Shalandra,
I wasn't at the meeting, but I did read what was sent, so yeah.
okay, Mr. Evans. I'm only going to read the people who are present tonight. Allison,
Approved.
thank you. Lee Lang,
Approve.
thank you. Catherine,
Yes.
thank
Approve.
you. Chief Echeverria,
Approve.
thank you. Okay, so I think we've approved the minutes. Does anyone have anything to share regarding your wellness? Andre, this was your agenda item and I liked it, so I kept it on. Do you have anything you want to share?
You know what? Right now, everything is good. Staying warm, staying healthy, and can't complain. Hope you all are doing that as well during these interesting times that we're currently in. But let's just stay positive and keep pushing, and we will get on the other side of this.
Well, we like to hear that. No news is good news, but sometimes it's nice to hear good news. Anyone else? Okay, well, without further ado, then I think we will move on to unfinished business. And Chief Boone, I hope your audio works this month. We had some technical difficulties last month. We could see you, but we couldn't hear you. So it's been a while and hopefully things have calmed down, but I think there still is an appetite for people to hear about the conditions going on in the schools right now and whether things have simmered down and how you all managed the situation that happened, gosh, a month or so ago. And I mean, I think the good news was that you all managed it really well from what I could tell, but I'm interested to hear from your perspective inside. And I'm going to go ahead and mute myself and let you talk here. So welcome, Chief Boone.
Thank you. Conditions in the schools are getting a lot better from what happened September 17th. We had a lot of good help from Peoria Police Department, county, a lot of other agencies that came and helped out with the incident that day. Really what we were trying to do for our team was kind of get to the root cause of issues, put support in place for students and families who needed them. And that's kind of what our team has been doing since that incident. But other buildings, other schools from that time, even to the present day, we're dealing with a lot of social emotional issues, a lot more this year. I think that, COVID has a big impact on that. Kids out of school, a lot of back and forth. So we're dealing with a lot of social emotional issues. I just went through with the team on Friday, our mid-year report. About 21 to 25% of our reporting is, physical batteries, assaults, things of that nature that the officers are reporting. Our top reported incidents are batteries. So there are a lot of physical interactions with student versus staff that we're trying to wade through. But the good positive was the top three report types. Of course, battery was one, other investigation two, interventions were third. So the department is doing a lot of interventions, student behavioral threat assessment, getting into the homes of families, trying to put supports in place. And I think that's kind of what, our push is moving forward. And then we were able to diagnose schools that have the highest number of reports. So we basically put in more supports. We focus on those schools more, identify specific students that are frequent flyers, and then try to put supports in place for them. So that's pretty much the school report. If there's any questions.
Is it just me or other people having a hard time hearing Chief Boone? Is it my internet or is it his internet? Okay.
He's scratchy.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm gonna try to paraphrase what I think he said, so you guys help me, because I'm not sure if anybody could hear this. For what I think you said, Chief, was that you guys were looking for the root cause, and it was a lot of social emotional issues, and that right now you're putting a team together to help the families. And I heard something about 21 to 25% of your reports were physical batteries. I'd love to hear more about that. Is that inside the schools or in the students' homes? And I think I heard you say it was student versus student and student versus staff. And then I think I heard you say that there's you're looking for the causes of these, doing threat assessments and trying to get supports into homes. So my questions, I guess, first of all, did I get that right? What types of supports do you guys have the resources to provide? Like what's the most meaningful thing that you can provide? And do you need more resources that other parts of the community can provide? Do you feel like you have all the resources you need to deal with this?
Yeah, I mean, I think with the wraparound center, that's a big help. Families and students, in a lot of ways. And I think just like Chief E with Peoria Police, I think a lot of the need is just having more cohesion between services on the outside. So when we get these issues and we diagnose these issues, we need to have, streamlined cohesion with, okay, here's the best place to go for mentoring. Here's the best place to go for if there's housing issues. Here's the best place to go if there's domestic violence issues in the home. We use the wraparound center to kind of connect all that with us inside the district. But just having a wealth of more than one type of service, just more cohesion. And I think the mayor, there's a meeting tomorrow for SNET, and I think the mayor is kind of working on that cohesion to try to glue all these pieces together so we have something streamlined.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any comments? I mean, it sounds like you guys are providing social worker type services. I mean, it sounds like that's to me, and I guess it's nice that the wraparound center is there to bring all those services together. Does anyone else have any questions for Chief Boone? I'm glad that you all have the resources to do that.
I don't have any questions, but if I could add on, Chief, if you're good with that. There's been quite a bit of contact from day one here between us and the school district. Early on, even before the things that happened at the school happened, Boone and I have met. We've met numerous times since then. We'd love to meet more, but the schedule doesn't allow it. But we met and we made sure that we were sharing information come Monday mornings, that we're sharing information and getting information out to Boone, and that on Friday, and by the end of the week sometime, they're trying to get information to us so we know who we're dealing with on the weekends if something comes up. So there's been a lot of mutual relationship and a lot of communication. And I know we had an event here during the Christmas, a toy giveaway that was here. And some of his staff was here along with our police officers, giving holiday gifts out to the children in the community here at the police department, but it was a tag team effort with the school district itself. So there's been from my perspective, a phenomenal relationship, and we'll continue to do that.
I'd honestly say in my 16 years of being in the district, this is probably the closest that our two departments have worked together in the most cohesiveness. So I really appreciate that. It's like I said, you know, when we do reports, I literally give them every single report that we write for every single student in our department. We share information with the juvenile detectives. We touch base all the time, so we can work on specific students. And it's pretty nice when the chief of Peoria Police can actually name students and families by name and can call you and talk to you about those families. That shows the effort that's actually put into the cohesion. So in my 16 years, this is probably the closest that we've worked together. So I appreciate that.
So what type of reaction do the staff and students have to your presence there? Are they, I mean, I'm guessing that they don't feel threatened, but is that something that you can evaluate, that they don't feel threatened by a police presence? Because sometimes we've heard that, you know, police presence can lead to that.
Right. I know with our department, I mean, we're kind of baked into the system there. And we had Peoria police officers that were there serving with us for several years. And I mean, we got a lot of positive feedback from kids because we're just basically like school staff, custodian, secretary, whatever. We're just an extension of school staff. And I think that's a testament to how the officers are trained on both ends, Peoria police and us, and how we relate with, you know, juveniles, students, stuff like that. So we've got a lot of positive reaction. I mean, you get some negative about, you know, anything, but we get overall it's positive.
Can I jump in? I know it's his turn, but I just had my first youth advisory committee meeting, and that youth advisory committee was in conjunction with Boone and saying, I need you to find from the high schools, 5 or 6 kids from every high school who aren't scared to come into the police department and tell us exactly what you, or tell the police officer, specifically the chief of police, exactly what you think of the police department, what you want to see change, what you want to see improve, what new relationships do you want to see, because we need to hear their voice. And so we need to continue to engage them. And I'll tell you that this first meeting was phenomenal. It was during that week where the kids didn't even have school. So I got about half the group in there out of the 25. But it was great that, you know, they got the emails to the school. So not sure if not being in school, they got all the emails, but either way, one of the things that they brought up is that we want to see more police officers, but we want to see a consistent face. So we can build a relationship with them. So one of the things that we started conversations here on, and I'm going to, I guess I'm telling Boone now, we haven't had a chance to talk about this, and I'll be talking to Dr. Karatis. What we want to do is adopt a school. So have officers as an ancillary duty, adopt a school. And so they can stop in during lunch, stop in during some other times, and just be a face for the school and a direct contact for the staff that's at the school, Boone staff specifically, and continue to build that relationship. And it's just, you know, another face that comes in there, another person. It's a different uniform, but it's the same, a constant person where the teens, the kids can build a relationship as well with that police officer. And that police officer obviously can bring other people in, and there'll be other officers. There's other conversations that are being had about coming in during lunch periods, et cetera. But we want to have that one person that's kind of adopted the school to be that contact for the school and continue to build that relationship. And so it's not sitting in a meeting with the kids and saying, well, advise me on what you want to see, and we do nothing about it. We have to put some action into it, and that's part of that.
Thanks for that update, Chief. There was a point in time before the pandemic when there was a youth advisory committee, and I believe we got updates from them because one of our youth members of this committee was a liaison. And I'm wondering if, and so she was able to update us on some of the meetings. I wonder if you want to extend an invitation or give us their contact information, and we could extend an invitation to them to attend this meeting and talk about the same thing if they feel comfortable. You know, they certainly don't have to, but
Yeah, and one of the things is, you know, this meeting, I don't know what happened prior to me. This is a new meeting, a new group. What I'm looking to hear is I want real conversation. What's going on? What do you want to see from us? And what I don't want to do is take these kids and now I'm exposing them to something else. We'll get to that point, hopefully at some point, but right now it's let's build a relationship. Tell me what you need to see. What are the things you want different? What can we do as a city and as a police department? Get them to know some of the other staff here, the command staff, other officers. We'll start having some classes for them on the things that we do here. You know, I went over, you know, our goals for the year with them, and just like I would talk in another group, but kind of at their level and really just making sure they're engaged and that we're listening and being reactive to what they're saying to us and implementing change where we can. But yes, I will keep that in mind, and we'll get to that point, hopefully at some point with this group. I don't think right now is the right time. We're still trying to build a relationship with them, and we want them to know this is honest, this is real, and we're not trying to use them for something else. If that makes sense.
okay, thank you. Chiefs, does anyone have any questions on this topic right now or comments on what we've heard?
I have a question for Chief Boone. Chief, are you familiar with the dads program that they have in St. Louis, where a group of about 40 dads show up in school every day, and that has calmed the school system down? Have you looked into that as a possible action that the district could take?
Absolutely. I've looked into it. Everybody sent it to me. I've contacted some people there actually to see how it was set up. So I've actually started some wheels on the ground, trying to create a program. It's early stages, Kings of Peoria. So I'm going to try to get a hold of every single father of every single student that we have in the district, get contact information, try to build a database so we can have fathers that show up to school and read, fathers that'll show up and carve out maybe an hour. They can log on somewhere, set up an hour at Roosevelt, Manual, Peoria High, wherever, and try to just have a wealth of people that's just going through there. So, yep, definitely heard about it, and already got my ideas flowing on it. So I appreciate that.
Excellent.
Thanks for that. I think you might, I don't know if you've already thought of this, but you might want to contact retiree dads too, because some working people don't have 5 seconds in their day. So hopefully the retirees are more available sometimes. So good idea, Lee. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, so we're going to move on to the committee participation in the complaint process. Annual review and recommendations, discussing the first item here is to discuss a potential citizens review board. This item, I'm going to let people talk about this, but I think it's going to end up being continued again because we are trying to get the information from Rockford. I've emailed their mayor, so we have old business and new business kind of clashing here together because I don't know if any members have received, we have a visitor. Andre's got a visitor here. It's easy to be distracted by babies. So cute. Sorry about that. Anyway, I don't know if anyone on the committee has been approached by a citizen with a complaint to process, but I'm going to let you guys take the floor and talk about it. My feeling is we can wait until we get to new business, but if anybody has any ideas about this, I'm going to let you guys go ahead and talk. Does anybody have their hand up here? I can't see. So unmute yourself and feel free to talk right now.
Janet, I do have a copy of the draft of the guidelines that the civilian oversight board for Rockford. If you'd like me to email them to you, I can.
That would be great. Do you want to, I mean, I think the whole committee might want to see them, but if we wait till new business, I mean, I think maybe if everyone's okay, we're going to move on and talk about that under new business then. Thanks, Lee. So right now, I'm going to move on to the virtual town hall series. I admit that I have shirked my responsibilities here. I did send an email to the city manager the day after our meeting on the 10th of December, asking him about the town hall. And I didn't hear from him till the 22nd of December that said it was okay for us to proceed. And then the holidays and family got in the way, and I did not extend the invitations to the speakers that we had thrown around. We had thrown around some names. So I don't feel comfortable having the meeting, the town hall on the 27th of this month, which is really coming up. I think it's a little too soon to get RSVPs from guest speakers. So with your permission here, I'd like to reschedule it to either the 3rd, the 17th, or the 24th of February. Those are all Thursday nights. Does anyone have a problem with that or a conflict with any of those Thursdays? Those are basically the Thursdays in February that we don't meet.
I always have a meeting on the third Thursday.
Oh, welcome. Okay,
Those
so,
people drive me crazy about these tickets for Monday, so I'm sorry.
okay, so is that the 17th, Lorraine? Is
It's
that
the
your
third Thursday, I always have a meeting.
Okay, I'm just trying to figure out what the third Thursday is. Hang on, let's see. Is that the 17th?
It's
Yeah.
the 17th.
Okay, any other conflicts? Chief, you had your hand up.
Yeah, February 3rd and the 24th are no good for me.
Uh-oh, okay. So does that put us into March? Let's see.
Unless you want to do the first Thursday.
Well, that's our meeting. We just cancel our meeting then?
Our meeting is not the first Thursday.
The 3rd, Chief says he has a conflict.
Okay,
Um,
so we can cancel our meeting on the 10th, right?
I don't know. Can we do that? I mean, we know everybody's available that day. I'm fine with doing that. Andre, what do you think? Allison?
Yeah, I don't think it'll be a problem to make this the standing meeting. We're still going to invite the public out. We'll still send a public notice. I don't think that would be an issue. Maz, can you provide any context? Is there any issues with replacing the standing meeting with the virtual town hall that you can think of?
Except that the standard meeting is on the calendar of commission and committee meetings, but it's technically a special meeting when we have our town halls. So I would avoid that. But can I look into it and then email the group and see what I could find? I guess then you can't really schedule it at this meeting. I just don't have the answer offhand.
Okay, let me go through some of the Thursdays in March. The 3rd is not going to be good for me. And then the 10th, a regular meeting. So that takes us to the 17th.
I have NAACP regular meeting every third Thursday.
That's the 3rd Thursday. And then we have the 24th. Does anybody know their schedule that far out right now?
Mine is open as of right now, it's open. But that could change
Okay.
unless we pen something in now and I commit.
Okay, does anybody have a conflict March 24th that they know about right now?
I'm good as
No,
well
I
too.
don't.
That's fine.
Okay, we have thumbs up, no thumbs down? Okay, so do we want to pencil in the March 24th, and then we'll have plenty of time to get speakers. Maz, it would be good if, we won't be in a hurry to get the answer to that question, but it would be good to know the answer to the question for the future if we want to, if we ever want to substitute the town hall. So there won't be a rush on it, but
Yeah, we're meeting in February, so I'll have an answer
that would be,
then. Yep.
that would be great. And I think at the time, I think another reason why I dragged my feet a little bit was we didn't have, I think we were looking, the theme we were throwing around was school resources. So I think at the top of the list, we had Derek Booth at the Wraparound Center, and I think DeMario again, and then Leslie McKnight. What can someone, I know who she is, but can someone refresh my memory as to what her position is? Is she at?
She's in charge of policy and planning with the Peoria City County Health Department. And the last person I interviewed, an epidemiologist, they consider the violence a community pandemic, health pandemic.
So do you think it would be better to ask her or the head of the health department? I just lost her name.
Monica.
Monica, but Leslie is the one who does it. She's done that talk too.
Okay, well, maybe I'll just put a request in and see which one might be available. Is that okay? Are you guys okay if we ask
Sure.
about that?
Yeah,
And that
Leslie's
might-
probably more available than Monica.
Okay, that's a good point. Okay, and I think we typically limit those to an hour, so that sounds like, it sounds like those 2, 3 would have a lot to say, so.
Well, we had talked about going to 90 minutes if we were gonna have 3 guests.
Okay, so 6 to 7:30? I think you're right. I think you're right. Thank you. Okay, so we'll make sure we contact them. And describe the theme of the evening and see about their participation. And so hopefully maybe by the February meeting, we'll have some feedback as to whether they're available.
Janet,
Okay.
Janet, do we want somebody there from also the teachers union to get their input?
Lee, I'm sorry, I didn't really hear what you said. Did you say the teachers union?
Yeah, should we have a representative from the teachers union to get a total picture of what's going on and what's needed if we're talking about resources?
I will put that open to the floor and let people tell me what they think, because I think we heard representatives. What do you guys have to say about getting a teachers rep from the teachers union?
I think that's a good idea. It's always good to have transparency. Reach across the aisle and have camaraderie. We don't want them to think that we're, bashing them or in any way, shape, or form, thinking that they're not doing what they're supposed to do. And when you have stuff and they're not invited, then thoughts get in people's heads. So I agree with having somebody from the union.
Thanks, Karen and Lee. Anyone else have any thoughts on that?
I think it's a
Yeah,
good
I'm
idea.
fine with
Or
it.
maybe I'll put another way. Does anyone have a rep in mind from the teachers union that they know would be the best person to talk about this issue?
You always got Jeff Dutro. if you need to get on
Okay,
that.
Jeff, okay. I'll see if I can, his wife was my son's diving coach. And his daughter was a fierce diver at Richwoods. Okay,
They were both my teachers at Manual. Jeff
were they
and-
really?
Yeah, they were my teachers at Manual.
She got my son to do stuff off that diving board I'd never seen before. She's amazing.
Janice, I have Jeff's phone number if you would like it.
Okay, will you
It's-
maybe send it to me in an email privately? I don't know if
sure.
we want his phone number published on.
No, I can send it to you. That's fine.
Okay, thanks, Lee. Okay, good ideas, everybody. Thank you for that. Okay, so we are going to schedule, I will send a note to the city manager that we've moved it to March 24th. We will do all these updates at the February meeting. and we'll touch base again. So we'll move that to old business. The town hall. I wonder if we'll be able to do it in person. What do you guys feel about? Oh, that's opening up a whole nother can of worms. Are we gonna be on Zoom again, or are we gonna be in person? And we had talked about taking our meetings into the community so that people had more access. So that's also on the schedule here.
If I'm correct, if it's a public meeting, you're still gonna have to have the cameras there and make it live. Councilman, or where's that? Sam, am I correct in saying that? I think you still have to do it if it's a public meeting.
Yeah, you have to figure out a live stream method.
Yep, have to live stream it.
Now, is that new? Because we had, before the pandemic, we had 5, 6 town hall meetings and nobody ever
Yeah.
live. So that's a new,
No, it's unfortunately when you got me, I found a lot of things that could have been done better. I'm sorry. Attorneys ruin everything.
we had attorneys sitting on the committee.
Yeah, they
Okay,
might
so I
not
guess
have
we'll have to
known of
talk
the
about
Open
that.
Meetings
Uh,
Act.
I'm
It
sorry.
has to be live streamed. That's correct.
They might not have known about the Open Meetings Act. There are attorneys that don't practice in government or sit on any public body, so they wouldn't be aware. It's possible. I'm just letting you know it does have to be streamed live.
So does that mean, the bottom line is, then do we have to do it on Zoom? Or is that if we were back at City Hall on the 4th floor, can they do that? Or
Yeah.
does that mean we
Perhaps.
don't?
Yeah, perhaps it's a topic we should address in February. The transmission rates or maybe the regular meeting in March, because the transmission rates in Peoria County are extremely high because of
Yeah.
the Omicron variant. And I can't predict what's going to happen in a month or two, but we're 2 years in and we're still going through it. So maybe a topic to address closer to the town hall meeting.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
I think also if we do have to stream it, we do have the capabilities to do it. We would just need to talk to city staff, but Councilman Greb, he did an event, Chief Echeverria, he spoke at it. He did it at St. Mark's and it was at St. Mark's Gymnasium and he was able to stream it through city services. So we could probably work that out long as we're able to conduct it based off the transmission rates.
yeah, absolutely. That's definitely the first thing we have to consider is the transmission rates. I just know we've been talking about this for 2 years of hoping to get our meetings out into the community. So if we have a way to do it, I want to know how to do it so that we're not fumbling around with it at the last minute. So if we can learn how to do that, and if he held it in St. Mark's Gym, that is definitely not a public, city-owned building. I would like to have a conversation about.
Janice, what happens if you make this, if you put out a public notice of a meeting, Alex asked the question here. That's absolutely correct. That's what happened with that meeting. A councilman.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? You faded out. Could you repeat that? I'm sorry.
If there is a public notice sent out of this meeting based on the Open Meetings Act, it has to be live streamed. This is a city organization, right? This group. And so it's called essentially by the city, there's a public notice of a meeting, it'll have to be live is my understanding. But I think Stacy Peterson would be the person, if I'm correct, that will give you that clear-cut answer. But if there's a public notice of a meeting, it'll have to be streamed live is my understanding.
You're
Yeah,
right, Chief.
I accept that. I'm talking about the location. So if we could do it in a community building, St. Mark's Gym is not, owned by the city. So if he was able to rig something up live stream.
So George has all the equipment. His name is George. They have a person that does all of that. He brings everything, sets everything up. We show up, you show up, bring your laptop, it's connected. You just have to make sure wherever you go that they have some of the other technology. If they don't have it, the city, that's why you gotta give it some time so they can figure out what's needed at the place. But he brings everything to stream it live.
I think that's a great idea. So I'd like to be nimble enough to know that we can get it done if transmission rates fall. And given all that, and that this is going to hopefully be a conversation about resources in the schools, do we want to, I mean, does the wraparound center have, if we're going to invite Mr. Booth, do we want to try to get into a community building? I guess that's the question I want to put on the floor and just let people, talk about that. Does
Well, I
anybody
mean,
have?
the wraparound center is housed in a Tree Wind. And so that would be a good location. They have a pretty big cafeteria. Their gymnasium is huge for a middle school. So I think that would be a good option. And also too, I think it's in a good location, especially when you talk about the resources that we're trying to promote.
Does anybody
Yeah,
else?
Tree
have a
Wind
comment?
probably
sorry.
ideal. Tree Wind would be real ideal, especially in the 05 zip code, right where wraparound is. He can have, because he has several facets to wrap around with Yolanda Riley, the attorney, Chance Light, all the other services that he has there, the justice liaisons that were created. He can have them all show you what they do day to day.
I would
Okay.
say there or East Bluff Center. So you get, south side, east side. Either place.
Yeah. Yeah, we've talked about both of those several times. So maybe since this is schools, we can ask, maybe when I have a conversation with Mr. Booth, we'll talk about that. And if he's opposed to it, we'll go to East Bluff, and maybe next time we can talk about East Bluff. But I just like to be ready in case this whole thing, cloud of COVID lifts and we can get together again. Okay, everybody, thanks. I want to move on from this. But thank you for that, that feedback. Okay, so because that's been on old business for really, 2 years. Okay, so we're gonna move on to new business. And now, Lee, it sounds like you've read the ordinance possibly from Rockford. They have a new Citizens Oversight Board ordinance that they just passed that we want to look into to find out what the state of Illinois, we figured Rockford would be a good model because that had to be done within the confines of the laws of the state of Illinois. Do you have any brief summary about that, or do you just want to share it with us maybe by email, or what are your comments on that?
Well, it's the draft is, I believe, 17 pages. And one of the things is that I was most interested in was the fact that their board, the Citizens Review Board, is going to have to go through a lot of training with their police department. And so I think that I probably should send a copy of this to Chief Estevaria, because part of it is all the board members are going to have to go through the Citizens Academy. They have to do ride-alongs with police officers on every shift in every district so that they become aware of the geography and the real-world consequences. There's just a lot of things that they have to do, understanding the equipment, understanding the review policy. It's just about everything there is to know about the police department. This board will know. At the same time, this board, this review committee does not have any, from what I'm reading, it does not have any disciplinary action that they can take. Everything is determined by the police department. So if a complaint comes in, and there again, it would be the complaints that are not misdemeanor, they're below misdemeanor. There would be no misdemeanors, as Lieutenant Huff described at the last meeting. Those still go to a third party. The Citizens Review Board can make recommendations. They don't have any subpoena powers. From what I'm reading, they don't have any subpoena powers, so they can't call in witnesses. As somebody described it, it's not in this copy of the ordinance I have, but as somebody described it in some of the writings, It would be a rehashing of the investigation that the police department did. And the Citizens Review Board would be making sure that they felt that everything was handled, all the investigation was done. But in the end, it would be the chief who had the final say. And that would be based on policies and procedures. So I will send this out. I will give you a heads up. It's 17 pages. So if your email can handle that, that's fine. But I did talk to the mayor's office on Tuesday to make sure this had passed, because this has been 18 months in the making. And it was laid over from the December meeting. So it wasn't passed until January 10th, which was this past Monday.
Thanks, Lee. So maybe I sent them an email too early. Does anyone have any comments or questions for Lee, or do y'all want to table this for unfinished business until next month after we've had a chance to read the ordinance?
So Lee, you don't need to send me it. You can if you want to. Chief Red and I are very familiar with each other. She's a good friend, known her for years, the chief of Rockford. She actually took over the Rockford Police Department right around the same time I took over here in Peoria. And we actually stay in quite a bit of contact. So I'll be talking to her and seeing how things are going over there as it progresses. We chatted just over text briefly a couple days ago, and it's yet not up and going. So it's just passed through council. So it's very, very in its infant stages right now. So I can tell you this is going to take some time to get up and running, but I'll be in contact with her and see what's going on that side of it. If you feel like you have it on an email, you want to send it to me, if it's easy, go ahead. But I'll be in contact. Yep.
I'm curious to know, based on this rough draft, if from what you have been talking to her about, if this is basically what that ordinance was that was passed, that it will still be the chief that has the final say. There will be no subpoena powers, and there will be no disciplinary action that's available. So this board will not be able to terminate a police officer or fine them or do anything like that. Is that your understanding of this ordinance?
I haven't read the ordinance, so I have zero understanding of the ordinance. But I will say I do understand the flip side of it, where they're saying you need to have all this training, right? Investigations aren't very easy to do. One, when you're not in policing and then you're basing things off of emotions and making decisions based off emotions, which we would see in a situation like this. We have to push our own emotions to the side when we do investigations internally here. There's no emotions involved. You know, there's relationships, there's this, but there's no emotions. It's the same ruler, the same measurement for everybody, but there has to be training. You have to understand use of force. You have to understand traffic. Somebody turned their mic on. Can you hear me? So there's a lot of things behind it. And Janice and I had this conversation. It's funny, a couple of weeks ago, last year, about there's all this training that you should be going through a Citizens Police Academy to understand some of the behind the scenes. But like I said, I'll have those conversations with her, and we'll see how it's going for them and as we move forward.
Thanks, Chief. And thanks, Lee, for summarizing that for us. Does anybody else have any more comments on what's going on in Rockford? Okay, we'll continue. We'll keep that on unfinished business. At least it gives us something to take a look at. Okay, so we're going to move on now and introduce Captain McCall, who was just promoted, I think, tomorrow or yesterday, just recently. So welcome. I'm particularly interested in his approach to community policing. He's born and raised in Peoria on the South Side. He has a family with 3 children. He is a graduate of Manual High School, ICC, and Western Illinois, and then the North. I'm sorry.
I was saying, go Rams.
No, go Rams.
Right.
Go Rams. Here we go. we have some seriously sketchy audio right now. Sorry about that. And the Northwestern School of Staff and Command. He was the original commander of the Neighborhood Services Unit, and under his leadership, the following programs were implemented. He helped develop, implement, and supervise the Resident Officers Program, the former Nuisance Abatement Unit, and the School Resource Officer Program. He also supervised the recruiting program and developed strategies and initiatives to recruit more minority and female officers. He says that his approach to community policing is derived from a place of trust, and that the two major ingredients to build trust are accountability and transparency. He loves Peoria and he loves the citizens and he loves to call it home. So without further ado, I'm going to let Captain McCall talk for a little bit, and then you guys are welcome to ask him any questions. So welcome and congratulations on your promotion.
Well, thank you. You pretty much summed it up for me. Yeah, Mayo, I'm proud of Mayo, proud of Peoria. I'm glad to be in this position. Yeah, my approach to community policing, really community engagement. You know, it's kind of hard to do right now with COVID-19, but we have this, some things, you know, like the walk and talks, and we're trying to do best that we can during this pandemic. But, you know, I think that community engagement is huge with building trust and accountability and transparency on both sides, you know, from the police department as well as the citizens. I mean, the trust goes two ways. So, you know, I'm excited to work on that in this position.
So tell us a little bit of what a walk and talk is. I mean, it sounds, I mean, we sound from the title, but tell us what you do and how often you do it and where you do it. And I heard from Chief Echeverria that you show up at almost every event that he sees you at with your family and your kids. And tell us a little bit about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I believe, you know, as far as community policing, the same thing. It's not a 9-to-5 job, you know. I believe that, you know, you have three families. You know, you have your personal family, your police family, and your public family. And just like anything, you got to put work into it, you know, to make it work. As far as the walk and talks, you know, that was an initiative by the chief, you know, to get out there and, again, community engagement, to see what the community needed, what their thoughts were, what kind of resources they needed, and how we can provide resource or connection to that resource. And so that's been beneficial. You know, it paid off in dividends. People see us out there like, hey, you care, and we do. Sorry, Jen, it's a little lag here.
Sorry, that is going out and I'm not hearing everything. Oh. What's your district right now, Captain McCall, that you're, I guess what district you just leave? How does that work? Tell us a little bit about where you've been focused in the city.
Well, prior I've been all over, you know, being the commander of the traffic unit, we go all over, investigate, you know, all the traffic accidents, the fatals, being a sergeant, was everywhere, you know, the whole city, you know, I've been engaged in, you know, as my years here at the police department. So right now as a captain, I mean, it's the whole city, right? It's not like one particular area. You know, every citizen is valuable, no matter what zip code they live in.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Captain McCall? We've got some fun comments in the chat.
Could I jump in?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Somebody was saying something, but it didn't come through, so I don't want to jump in.
Yeah, the audio is, I don't know, tonight's not a good night for audio.
Who knows? Well, I'll say is this, you know, former Lieutenant McCall, now Captain, is a very, very humble person. And probably won't say what I'm going to say about him. I'm very excited that he is, and I think Janice knows this, and obviously Lee knows this because you guys were in the interview panel for, if the group doesn't know, there's an interview panel that I've put together anytime we've had any promotions here for captain on up, including the assistant chief. I think it's very important to have community input on in these interviews and have that, hear that voice. But I'm very proud to have, very excited to have Captain McCall on my team. These are the guys that are closest to me here in the command staff. These are the ones that we run the agency. This is who I count on to be on board, to get the messages across that need to get across to our police officers, and to be on the same page and be able to also, correct me when they feel like, hey, we're going on the wrong path or we're doing something else. I don't want people that sit around me that are just saying yes to me. But he brings a wealth of knowledge, his community relationships. I will tell you, I've been watching him for 5 months that I've been here, and I see his involvement on and off duty. A lot of events that I go to, he's there with his family. And to me, that is very, very important and has a lot of value. And again, super excited. He was a senior lieutenant in the department. And so it was his time. It was his time. He's ready. He's ready to step up and do what it takes to help us move this department forward in a new direction. And again, continue to engage with our community to reduce crime, foster community partnerships, improve traffic safety, et cetera. So I'm excited for him to be on my team.
Thank you, Chief.
I just wanted to say I've known Captain McCall now, since before I joined the Peoria Police Department, and I think it's real appropriate that his promotion is on here when you're talking about police and community, because he was one of the officers that taught me that you didn't have to be heavy-handed, and you can be meek and mild and measured and do the job and be successful at it. So he was definitely one of the people that I took some direction from. Real happy that he's a Manual graduate also, in a great position. But it kind of speaks to what Chief E is doing, that he's promoting, and putting in positions with Captain McCall. That, they're not heavy-handed, they're not, that old school mentality. He's really changing that culture on the inside, and that's real key. So I think that definitely needs to be pointed out in this forum, that there's action and steps being taken. So kudos to your team and congratulations, Captain McCall. I'm gonna get used to calling you Captain. So.
Thank you, Chief Boone. Just don't call me late for dinner. That's all.
Okay, thanks. Questions for, oh, is somebody talking here? Everyone's frozen. I'm sorry. Did anyone else have something to say? I feel like I'm in a time warp with a lag, but anyway, raise your hand if you've got something to say. Okay, so thank you and welcome. And anyone else have any other items that they'd like to bring up under new business? Okay, I don't see any. So do we have, I think we can call it a night, 6:30. This is good. We're doing good here. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved by Andre.
Okay, Andre, and then seconded by Catherine.
Yep.
Okay, let's take a quick roll call here. Andre,
Yes.
we're in alphabetical order tonight, guys. Demario,
Yes.
Delandra,
Yes.
Allison,
Yes.
Chanel, no, let's see, Lorraine.
Yes.
If I only see 9 people here, so if I am missing you, please just speak up here. Let's see. Lee Lang.
Yes.
I already got, did I get Catherine? Catherine?
Yes.
I think I heard Alex is in the house. Alex?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Chief Echeverria?
Yes.
Okay, did I miss anyone?
Karen, I say yes.
Oh, Karen, sorry, I missed you. Sorry about that. Okay, thank you, everybody. Have a good night. I'll see you in February.